Hello, Greenhat-Redbeard Adventures here today. We're testing out some Shoelace Paracord fire making tinder. Here's the packaging right here. So I found this at Princess Auto. It's a Tinder shoelaces. It's not quite 550 paracord because the inner strands are not the normal amount or the normal thickness of the regular paracord. It's like a shoelace, but with the inner strands that are the Tinder. So on the back here, we got the Tinder shoelaces that are 63 inches long, all-purpose paracord with an added single tinder thread to ensure that you always have fire tinder with you. And it says to ignite, expose the red core. Well, although it's not red, it's actually pink, not red. And light with any fire starter. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this out on 3 different fire making methods to see how good it works. And if it works great, that's a good thing. I'm going to replace my shoelaces with paracord. And I already have paracord, but I'm going to replace it with the fire cord. So I've cut 3 strands, same length, which is right here, which this is probably about maybe 5 inches long, and pulled out the inner cords. So there's one pile right here and a second right here. This is the third. So I'll show you basically what it looks like, how it looks. It's a little tricky to get it out at first, but once you get the sheath covering the black out of the way, it will expose the inner strands and then be able to pull them out, hopefully a little bit easier. There we go. Just about got it. There we go. So put this off to the side. And there's 3 strands, all pink. There's the 2 actual cords. We'll put those to the side. And then there's the actual tinder. So we're going to unravel this a little bit because it's kind of like several strands just rolled together almost. We're just going to pull that apart. So you can see it's like there's several strands there we've woven together. And we're just going to pull them apart just like we did with the other ones. And then we're going to try igniting them with 3 different fire making methods. The 3 fire making methods are the standard that I normally would use when I'm out in the wilderness, which is the ferro rod, a standard Bic lighter, and a matches. The matches I'm going to be using are just simple household matches, nothing special. So these are the matches that I'm going to be using. So let's get started with the matches first and see how well it works. So we'll start off with this one right here. Oh yeah, look at that. It's really chilly today and the rock is quite cold, and there's a little bit of wind, not much, but a little bit of wind. But as you can see, it's obviously with a standard match. I don't use these matches. What I use is a heavy duty stormproof match, but I wanted to use just regular matches just to see how well it would work. The heavy duty matches flare up like a hole quite a bit. So, and that's just me unraveling the cords a little bit. I didn't fluff it up right nice and bright like I normally would, but that was pretty decent. It wasn't too bad at all. So now we're gonna test it out with just a standard Bic lighter, nothing special, right here, which I assume, of course, obviously it's going to work. There we go. So obviously it works with a lighter just fine. Works surprisingly quite well. Obviously, unfortunately, I cannot start a fire where I am right now because fires are banned. But just going to do this little bit of a tinder here just to test out the tinder, just to make sure the tinder itself works just fine. And obviously it works just fine. But now the one that I'm most curious about is the ferro rod, of course. The ferro rod is the one I want to see the most action out of. So I got a nice size ferro rod here. I'm going to use my multi-tool here. This is the saw you can use on the saw on your Leatherman Wave Plus, the back edge of the saw. and to do it, and hopefully it'll work. Oh yeah, there it goes. Yeah, the ferro rod was the one I was definitely the most curious about, because I would really like this to ignite with a ferro rod, because a ferro rod is an everyday carry for me when I'm out in the woods. And that was just from a 5-inch long stretch of shoelace there. So as you can see there, obviously it works out quite well. It works pretty well, in fact. So that being said, with the ferro rod, it obviously works quite well. It works pretty good, in fact. So I'm very pleased with that. There's obviously some other Paratinders out there. This one here in particular is just the shoelace type. So there's other ones I know from the same company that do in fact work quite well. It's actual 550 paracord. It has all the inner strands available. This one here is obviously a much more smaller paracord. It's not actually 550, but that's okay. But it does work with every fire starter, as it says on the back. As the cord is used, laces can be relaced and retain and secure your boot fit. Trim as needed and seal paracord edges with a match to prevent unraveling. So that being said, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I want to test that out too. Now I'm thinking about it. So here's the rest of the cord, and we don't want the ends to unravel. So that being said, let's try out the Bic lighter here, and we can just seal that off without it burning away too much. We'll see how well this is gonna. Yeah, so it's doing this normal thing, just like with a regular cord hinge here. And you just dab it a little bit, and yeah, there you go. It's sealed up nicely. It's not going to come unraveled anymore, and I can just use the rest of it for boot laces. So I have another package of this, and it's actually pretty cheap as well. These were for, I think it was about $2.99 where I bought it, and I bought it at a Princess Auto. So any outdoor store, I'm sure it'll be maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, I'm not really sure. But these ones here are 63 inches long, and it's plenty long. That I know for a fact it's plenty long enough for my boots. So anyways, that's the Paratinder shoelaces, Greenhat-Redbeard Adventures. Stay safe, have fun.